Eagle Nation, it is officially time to turn the page to the offseason, but let me tell you something. Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni are motivated like never before to get back to the big game next year. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. Hit that like button if you enjoy this content. Subscribe by hitting that red button down below and hit that bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming off-season coverage. RB back once again, bringing you the latest from the Linc. And the latest today is that there was a press conference, Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, end of year. And boy, did they drop some gems. We are going to break it all down and let you know some of the things progressing here in the near future. But before we get into that, I just want to say, man, I am so freaking proud of this team. I finally had some time to just let it resonate, let it sink in a little bit. And obviously the Eagles didn't end up on top. They didn't end up as champions. They didn't end up where they originally wanted to be, but it's very hard to do that. Only one team does. And I do have to say, man, this Eagles team deserves a lot of credit. It was one of the most fun years I've ever had watching the team. What a group of guys, man. It was special. Unfortunately, this is how the business works. It'll never be the same group of guys, but this Eagles team has a really, really bright future, and it was a heck of a season, one that I personally will never forget. But anyway, before we get into some of the information, Howie Roseman was ticked off today. Let me tell you something. He is pissed, and I saw a fire in his eyes that I haven't seen. He's ready. He's motivated. He's frustrated. He's going into this offseason saying, I will get this team back, just the way that he bounced back from a couple years ago when everybody wanted him out of town. But before we break all of it down, shout out to the sponsor here of today's video. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today using bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. If you do not win your first bet, visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. Bonus bets expires 7 days from issuance. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, man. Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni answered questions today. They still seem upset, but it kind of seems like the official wrap-up. They're ready to get onto the offseason, and they have a lot of work to do, a lot of Eagles free agents, and that is where we will start. Adam Schefter put this out a couple days ago. Here's a list of the players that are going to be free agents. The Eagles need to make some decisions, and it's going to be tough, right? Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox. These are guys that have been here for a while. Obviously, Fletch, Miles Sanders drafted here in the second round. CJ Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury, Kaiser White had a great year. Robert Quinn, Ndamukong Suh was signed later in the year, but all these guys contributed. They were all part of the reason that the Eagles were so deep as a team and got to the promised land. Unfortunately, could not finish by putting that flag down on top. But anyway, they have some decisions to make here, obviously, and we knew this was a reality. It's just, how are they going to proceed with it? Don't forget, they have a lot of draft stock. They have a lot of ways that some of these guys can be replaced. And, Howie Roseman has his work cut out for him, as always. Speaking of which, let's talk about Howie Roseman. So, like I said a few minutes ago, he came out motivated, man. Just look at his face. Look at his face. He looks frustrated, man. Nick went up there, and I thought him and Howie did a great job. Nick was just answering the questions normally, but Howie, he seemed ticked off in a way that I haven't seen. It's like, dang, I wish I had this moment back, or dang, I wish there was one possession back. And I think he's going to come out here and maybe have a better offseason. I know last year was probably, and we could say this at this point, was probably one of the best off seasons that a GM has ever had. But this offseason, I see that fire already in his eyes. Here's what Howie said, quote, we got a scar. We got a scar on us. It's going to heal over time. We're sure going to do everything we can and everything in our power to make sure we bring this city, our players, and our staff what they deserve. Howie's coming out ready to go. And the big piece of the day. Oh, yeah, he said both teams played on the same field. He was asked about people making excuses about the guys slipping. I still think that it definitely had more of an impact on the Eagles. They had the best defensive line. They had great edge rushers. and you saw the replay. They showed it. I mean, they couldn't even stay up, and they kind of had to adapt and adjust their game. But it's over, said and done with now. It's in the books. And like Howie said, you got to stick, I guess, with the classy answer. He said both teams play on the same field, not making any excuses. But the big piece of the day came with Jalen Hurts. Here's the positive thing, ladies and gentlemen. Jalen Hurts is going to be a Philadelphia Eagle for a long time. Howie Roseman says it does not give him pause to give Hurts a contract extension with the way things turned out with Carson Wentz. And to be fair, it should not at all. Carson Wentz was signed, and then you went out and drafted a quarterback, which was his mistake, the quarterback factory, all that stuff, and it just wasn't going to work out. Wentz got hurt, and let's be honest, I was a big Wentz guy. He never was the same after that first ACL injury, so this should not have any correlation at all. Jalen Hurts has proven so much, and that's the one thing that hurts, man. I wish this team would have got him a Super Bowl, but he's an underdog. He's been through this type of situation. He's going to work to get back. Howie says it's a priority, keep Jalen long-term with the Eagles, and my, oh my, let me tell you something. This report came out yesterday or the day before, and according to Adam Schefter, the starting point is going to be, quote, north of $45 million. Now, I know what the instant reaction is going to be. Oh my gosh, 45, 47, 52 million. Oh my God. Let's be honest here, okay? Let's keep it straight. It does not matter about the player, and it does not matter about the figure, the dollar figure, okay? All it matters is when you get paid. That is the nature of the business. That's how it works. And to be quite honest with you, Jalen Hurts, second year starting, takes this team to the Super Bowl. He deserves whatever he's going to get. And I'm happy that the Eagles have their guy. That's what the energy should be focused on. The Eagles have their guy, a guy who can build around. Obviously, in the modern day sport era, it is very important to optimize that window. And you try to win before you have to pay the quarterback, which is why a lot of the Eagles, people, personnel, fans, all wanted to get it done this year. Guess what? It didn't happen. But the positive moving forward is that you have your guy. He has shown it on the field. He has shown it with intangibles. He has worked so hard. Look at the improvement from one year to the next. The leadership in the locker room, everything has gotten better. He's the guy, and he went out and put on a classic freaking performance in the biggest game in America. I mean, he deserves what he's going to get. And if you had to ask me to guess about it, I mean, you look at the contracts that, currently stand in the league, the biggest value. Aaron Rodgers, $50 million a year. You look at Russell Wilson, 48, Kyler Murray, 46. I could see Jalen Hurts actually getting 50 or more. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe he gets a $48 million a year type of thing. I think his agent, who does a great job, and I think his people, his core, right? They're going to tell him not to settle, because of what he's been through, because of what he has had to endure this season, and really the improvement, right? And he's still so young, so he's only going to get better. I could see Jalen getting 52 a year if I had to put a guess out there for 5 years. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Jalen's going to get a payday. Eagle fans should be happy that the time is here, and he has earned every bit of it. He deserves it. I mean, it's been crazy to think about the jump from when he got drafted that night to now, but I can sure as hell say I'm happy that he's going to be the quarterback of this team, and that I would assume that it gets done fairly soon. Maybe they have to work the numbers out, but Jalen's not going anywhere, right? The Eagles will lock him down. That's off-season priority number one, and it's going to be good to see this guy grow here. Hopefully he can stay for 10, 15 years. But anyway, let's get to Nick Sirianni. He was asked about some things from the Super Bowl. He says, quote, you would get 32 out of 32 coaches who would punt the ball on 4th and 3 when asked about punting later in the game from their 32-yard line. Obviously, the Chiefs ended up, taking the lead after that, and it was unfortunate, but I agree with Nick. I think this was the smart play. You weren't up by a lot, and, the Eagles did what they had to do. It doesn't compare to 2017 when you went for it on 4th and 2 or 4th and 1 from your own 30. It doesn't compare at all. I think Nick coached a pretty good game. I think the Eagles defense just did not show up. And if they did a little bit, Jalen Hurts would probably, be a Super Bowl champion and this team would be on top. But it is what it is. You can't go back now. You can't go back to that moment. You just have to improve going forward. Also, Nick Sirianni says, quote, and I think this is the new quote to go by. We slipped trying to put our flag atop of the mountain. Put that on a poster. Put it on the wall of the locker room, whatever needs to happen. That can be the new flowers, the new roots. All right, Nick Sirianni's coming back motivated. He's hungry. He was emotional during the game, before the game, after the game. I think these guys are going to want to play for Nick, and I think he's done a hell of a job. And like he said, he's even hungrier now to get back. That, once you get a taste of it, once you get to that moment, you want to get back, man. So I think this offseason is going to be crucial, and I think these guys are going to work because now they know what it is like to be on the stage. They know they can get there. They just have to do a few things different to end up as champions. Also, Nick says the new offensive coordinator will be calling the plays still. Obviously, Nick does not call the plays. He likes to manage the game, and he likes the current setup. And the new offensive coordinator will, fulfill those duties as well. Speaking of which, Brian Johnson, who is already on the Eagles staff, is expected to become the new offensive coordinator. Obviously has the ties with Jalen Hurts' father from high school. And Jalen Hurts said, quote, "I've always wanted to play for him." I think this is the right way to go, in my opinion. I personally am not a fan of the sexy hires anymore, the outside. I used to be, but now when I get down to the core and I think about it, you just went to a Super Bowl. This guy knows the philosophy. He knows, the scheme. He knows the players' tendencies way better than anybody else. Why not, right? Why not give this guy a shot if he is capable? Speaking of which, Jonathan Gannon on the other side of the ball is now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Good luck to JG. Unfortunately, did not end the way the Eagles fans wanted it to, and he was a big reason why. And it's funny, he said he didn't even know he was going to interview with the Cardinals and stay in Arizona until Howie Roseman told him on Sunday night after the Super Bowl. So you're telling me that the Cardinals hired him just like that off the rip? Man, that franchise is in for it. And you put Kyler Murray, you need to resurrect him with a defensive-minded coach? Uh-oh. But anyway, I think the Eagles will be able to fulfill some of this. I know they're interviewing Vance Joseph and a couple other guys. Maybe they promote from within, but I think on the offensive side, it's definitely important, especially with Jalen Hurts' connection with Brian Johnson. And I think no matter what happens, the Eagles will be fine. All I have to say is when the new coordinator comes, and Nick kind of talked about it today, they're going to have a different mindset. When you have this much talent on the defensive side, you're going to have to bring pressure to the quarterback more than the Eagles did. It sounded to me like Jalen and Nick and Howie are all motivated to go out there and get this team back to the big game. And I honestly believe they have a good chance of doing it. They are locked and loaded. Lots of free agents. You're going to have to make some tough decisions. But hey, Howie is a cap wizard. He's got a lot of draft picks, and you can fill those holes where you need to. At the end of the day, the Eagles have a great young offensive core who's all 25 or younger. So I think they will be able to get back. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and like always, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.